It's the Powerhouse Woman Show. You're a powerhouse woman, successful, accomplished, but you know the time has come for something else. To pivot, make a shift, or do what you've been putting off for a long time. I'm Monica Pierre, a media entrepreneur, Emmy Award-winning journalist and coach, and I'm on a mission to help you figure out your path forward and create powerful new stories about your life and legacy. There's more ahead. Time to do the greatest work of your life. Hello and welcome once again to the Powerhouse Woman Show. I'm your host, Monica Pierre. Thank you for joining us. And we really believe that our best work is ahead, no matter what you've accomplished. And perhaps you are at a stage now where you want that dream job, or you want to get hired, or you want to really have a greater impact through employment or a career shift or career change, and you're not getting any traction. What's happening? How do powerhouse women get hired? Really get hired for what they want? We have the one and only person who can answer that story. The question is the one and only Kate Wade, certified executive coach. And I can tell you from experience that she's an amazing executive coach. And she's also a founder of Get Her Hired and Forbes Jobs Partner. Wow. Kate, yes. So good to have you on the show. So good to connect with you. It's been a while.
It's been a minute, Monica. I'm delighted to be here. I'm coming from beautiful downtown St. Paul to you all today.
Is it cold?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Always, we're freezing here. It's 40-something, 49 degrees. It's so cold. We're so cold here. Oh, but okay. Thank you for being on the show. And for all of those who have experienced Kate, you're in for another treat. And for those who have never, you're going to be amazed. So let's jump right into it. Why did you become the founder of Get Her Hired? What was missing in your opinion?
Oh, for me, I came into this by accident, and I think like all really good things do. So I had been an executive at a large Fortune 200 company. And at the time, I was one of the only women who had a office with a door on it. And maybe some of the viewers here can relate, getting that off the door is a powerhouse move. And once we're in there, it felt safe for different employees and team members to come by and talk to me about their career. And as I got laid off from that position, so I've been through that indeed, if anyone else, I know what that feels like. But a lot of my colleagues there at the organization followed me for career advice. And then one insisted on paying me. And then I said, well, I guess I could turn this into something.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for about 5 years now. So it's been so joyful for me because I've been in those rooms where those top level decisions get made on bringing in the new executives. And I know how to help women do that.
What are especially women looking for right now? Is it because they're pivoted and they still want to figure out what they want? Or they're stuck? Why are they coming to you?
Okay, so there's usually 2 reasons. One is an urgent layoff or they've been displaced at their job. So that is one of the reasons and that's a very urgent need for people. The other thing is the pivot. So let's say they've been in a career that is just draining them. The company culture just is not a good fit. And they know they're meant for more. They know that they have a higher calling to do better work somewhere else, but they don't know how. And they're sick of showing up on Monday morning to a place they dislike in a toxic environment. So those are really the 2 ways people come and find me.
Let's talk about the story or telling a person's story, because we're all about storytelling. I do the Storymaker Academy, and particularly for someone who have pivoted and it might be in a totally different direction, but their heart is leading them there. How do you tell the story of your worth? How do you tell the story of your experience where it makes sense to the person who is going to hire or say yes?
Yeah. So I look at it in 3 different ways. The first is really thinking through your transferable skills. Transferable skills are things like strategic planning, financial acumen. There are things like change management, organizational development. These are skills that you've learned. Maybe you're an agile project manager. Maybe you've, done Six Sigma. You can apply these anywhere, these skills, right? So whether you are doing something in, let's say, the automotive industry, and you want to switch over to oil and gas, let's just put those out there, you can use those transferable skills to tell the story of your worth. A second way that I like to do this is by ensuring that my clients have quantified impact. So I am all about data and leading the story with data, because when we have data, it's a fact. When we have narrative statements, there can be a lot of opinion there. And so in order to really tell the story of your worth, when you're looking at your career marketing materials, you want to ensure that you have good data and metrics in there to back up the narrative story. Because the story without the data, it's nice for a biography, but it's not really going to work to lead to that next powerhouse job.
Can you give me an example of that, where you're leading with the data, the numbers, whatever, the analytics, or you're dealing with leading with the narrative? Because there's a place to both, but I like how you say lead with the data.
Yeah. So if you look at your materials right now, and anyone can open them up, if you find that your resume looks like a job description, right? So it's kind of like responsible for, coordinate with, support this, etc. Then you know that you have a narrative job description, responsibility-based resume that is not going to cut it at an executive level, at that director level, at that senior manager level. Instead of saying responsible for leading a team of, leading a marketing team to build our brand and and create growth. So maybe it says responsible for leading the marketing team, building the brand, and creating growth. Instead of doing that, you're going to keep those terms in there because those are great keywords, but you're going to put data behind it and break that up into three things. I led a marketing, it's not going to start with excuse me. It's going to start with directed marketing team with 5 direct reports and 10 indirect reports. And then it goes on. The next line is drove a 30% increase in brand awareness through XYZ project. And then your third bullet becomes it's going to be grew the net promoter score by 50% over 2 quarters.
So you gave us 3 powerhouse verbs. You gave us direct, you gave us drove, and I think you said grew.
Grew, yep, or increased, yep.
Or increased, yeah. So that's a key as well, right? Just using not passive verbs, but definitely some very strong verbs.
Right. And we just transformed that kind of narrative statement, which is true. But guess what? It is comparable to many, many other people. When you use the narrative statement and don't bring in your own worth and your own impact, you're competing with anyone else who's ever had that kind of responsibility.
Another question that I would imagine people go through too, Kate, is how to explain either a pivot or a gap in work history. Because that used to be at one time, it kept a lot of women, especially from going back, because I'm doing the greatest work on the planet. I'm raising my children, that type of thing. But it was a liability.
Yeah.
So how do you answer that or tell the powerful story of what you've been up to?
Yeah. So with the gap, a lot of people are coming to me now who are also taking care of aging parents, or they're taking a sabbatical to help take care of a person in their family with a disability that needs care, or they're taking that parental leave to raise their family. I just had a client who had 11 years raising her family, and she wants to get back into her field, and she is very nervous about that, exactly like you said, Monica. So it's not unusual. And I have to say it is becoming more normalized, which is very good. And especially for the people out there that are in their late 40s, 50s, 60s, where we're taking care of aging parents. I know a number of people who also have the gap at that point in their career. How we take care of that when we're looking at the resume is we want to just directly state it. Say, we're going to say something, career break to care for something, family, and then you just put in the dates. I don't really think you need to say like any bullet points about, managing a budget or managing the household, or I don't believe you need to do that.
Head of transportation.
No. As soon as we put that in there, people, smart people will know exactly what that entails and means. And so we don't need to justify the break. I would not apologize for the break. I would not offer any unsolicited information about that break. I would just put it on there as a fact, had a career break. Boom, that's it. Now, if you're pivoting and you want to go into a different industry, again, I don't really believe that you have to explain or justify this. I think the only thing we really can do there is talk about the transferable skills and lean on the results. Because if we've created great results in another industry, in another role, why couldn't we replicate that? Right. Now, I will say that both of those things I just shared, those are my beliefs. And that's what I coach to, because I believe in the women I work with, and we don't need to apologize to anyone or prove anything to anyone. We are the proof. But there is bias out there. And so when we encounter bias, sometimes we don't know we've encountered bias, as we just get ghosted, like no one replies to us. But it is out there. And I always think, you know what, if they were that, I'll just say it, if they were that dumb to be biased and not consider you in that moment because of something they assumed, that's on them and that's their loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk a little bit. I know we realize that you could come back and do like a 5-parter because you have so much you can share.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the doubt and the second guessing, or even the fear that pops up, and what you should do, or what you recommend you should do.
Yeah, this comes up a lot, even for people are afraid to update their LinkedIn. I mean, we are living in career fear all the time. Oh, my boss might see that I'm looking, or someone might think they might even think I'm looking if I update something on my LinkedIn. First of all, barely anyone looks at your LinkedIn unless you're really optimizing it and using it. So if they did, that's cool. But here's what else. You really don't owe your company that much energy, because they can, in any moment, make a financial decision and cut you out. You could have been dedicated there for years and years, and we don't necessarily owe them anything. So remembering your own worth and your own value when we get afraid to update our LinkedIn. The other thing I see that can show up is once I do work through a woman's resume, her CV, and get it full of the data, a client said to me this week, "Is that me? Did I do that? I don't think I am that person." But here's the thing. It's a fact. It's a fact that she had accomplished all of these things in her career. It's a fact that you won an Emmy, Monica. It is not a brag. No one's going to think you're bragging, because this is a fact. And to just believe in the facts, trust the data, and trust yourself. And I always say, I'm just going to say it right here, tits up. Just put yourself back, own it. I know in Australia that means something else, but here in America, I'm just going to tell you, sit back. You've accomplished it. Own it.
Right. Trust the data, trust the facts, trust yourself. Yes, I love it. And they call it tits up. Okay. Like wheels up.
Men can do it too. Men can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in a few words or so, what makes a resume scroll stopping?
Yeah.
I know working with Kate, it makes it that, but what should people keep in mind that really makes it scroll stopping?
Yeah. So we want to have everything that's above the fold before we have to scroll that mouse. We want that to tell the story of why you should be brought in for an interview. Everything below the scroll just backs it up, just validates it and says, yep, 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 legit, legit, legit. So the top portion of that resume on the first page is going to be dedicated to your key accomplishments, your core skills, your interpersonal skills, a brief description of your background. And with those things, when people see that all together, they just can see that top half of the first page and say, you know what, we're bringing this person in for an interview. That's the job of your resume, is to get an interview, not to get a job. The job of your resume is to open the door to the conversation.
Ah, and one of the things you say about LinkedIn, because you mentioned it, is that don't think of LinkedIn the traditional way you think of social media, right? That it's basically a tool for thought leadership, and that. So I'm gonna let you explain it much better than I just did. What are your views on
Yes.
LinkedIn and how critical LinkedIn is?
Yes, a lot of people are afraid to use it, afraid to post, but they're also they don't like it. They think it is another social media tool. The fact is, it is a career tool. It's part of your career marketing, and in order for people to understand who you are, what you can bring to the table, use it. Use it to network. Use it to meet people. Use it to ask for introductions. Share your thoughts on your area of expertise. Share your thoughts on your leadership style. And there's really no downside to it, unless you sit in the fear that someone might think that you might be looking. And then you get to work on yourself to get over that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kate, you are amazing. What's your LinkedIn? How can people find you there?
Yes, I'm a LinkedIn maniac. Yeah, so it's Kate Wade Get Her Hired. That is my LinkedIn address, and I love connecting with people. If any of the viewers want to go out there and link in with me, I'm happy to make introductions to other people in my network. If you find that there's someone out there that I know that you'd like to meet, happy to do that.
Well, I said it kind of jokingly, but not. We're going to get you back on because I want to talk about the power of our networks. And I asked you, how did you become a Forbes Jobs partner? And she goes, my network. I'm going, okay, all right, got it. Well, we're going to break that down. So I'll circle back, and we would love to have you back on the show because we've only scratched the surface of what all that is brilliant and amazing about Kate Wade. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. We really,
Thank you, Monica.
appreciate it.
Thanks, all you powerhouse women.
Yes. Oh, I should have mentioned that the Powerhouse Woman Show, when I worked with Kate, we came up with the name. So I give her 90% of the credit as well for that as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you've heard something that's going to rev you up, that's going to help you position yourself and tell your own story, because your story is worth telling and you're the best person to tell it. Bye-bye now.